Most of us spend our lives carrying a quiet pressure to make something of ourselves, build a life, construct an identity. And it's not just in the big, obvious ways, family, career, success, image, but in the internal ways too, to construct a self that feels stable, self-assured, and good enough. And then you come to a passage like this. Peter is talking about that very thing, formation, but in ways that feel completely counter to how we go about forming ourselves. He offers two metaphors, and they're images that don't seem to belong together. He says, be like a newborn baby and be like a stone. One is soft, squishy, and alive. The other is hard, and at least on the surface, lifeless. But they share one thing in common. In neither image are you the one that is in control. I recently came across a book of archival photos from the photographer Peter Hijra with commentary from another artist, Moira Davey. It's called The Shabbiness of Beauty. And in it are a few striking images of newborn babies. One is a close-up image of a tiny baby latched onto his mother's breast. And Davey says, this is the one that really got me. She says, you can tell he's actively sucking and pressing his fingers onto the breast. You can feel his vulnerability, his utter dependence on his caretakers. A newborn cannot build itself, nor does it have to strive or perform or prove anything. A baby only knows one thing: it's hungry. Peter says, be like that. And he begins with what feels like moral instruction. Rid yourselves of all malice, all envy, insincerity, and slander. And then he reframes it. Like a newborn infant, long for pure spiritual milk. Ronald Rolheiser is a great theologian of spirituality, and he likes to say that we are all born with a spirituality. It's our eros, the fire inside. We don't come out of the womb calm and content. We're born screaming for life, on fire with desire. That desire doesn't go away. It gets distorted. A newborn doesn't have envy, insincerity, slander, or malice. Not because a baby is morally superior, but because they haven't yet learned to compare, resent, and compete. And as we grow, we start trying to feed that same hunger that we're born with other things, like approval, control, winning, anything that makes us feel like we can finally make something of ourselves. And that's where the second image comes in. Like living stones, let yourself be built. Notice he doesn't say be like the architect or even be like the fully formed, completed structure. Just be the stone, ready to be placed. A stone doesn't determine its own placements. It becomes meaningful not because it's strong and independent, but because it's set in the right place. And when it's not, it becomes something people trip over. Peter actually says that. A stone can be part of something sacred, or it can become a stumbling block. And that's what misdirected desire does. It doesn't just affect you, it spills over. When our hunger turns into competition, comparison, insecurity, the need to prove ourselves, other people feel it. They run into it. They trip over it. But when that same hunger is rightly ordered, when it's grounded in something deeper, it becomes the very thing that builds a life of substance. Luis Barragan is an architect known for his work across Mexico City. His work has seen a resurgence in popularity in recent years, circulates widely on social media because it's very aesthetic, especially that iconic pink that has become almost synonymous with Mexico City. His own home, which he designed as a kind of retreat from the world, has become a popular destination for visitors. People often describe walking through it as something more than a tour, almost a spiritual experience. One space in particular, the rooftop, is striking. When you step onto it, you're surrounded by these high walls. You can't see the street or the city, only the colors of the walls and the sky. It's disorienting at first, but the space is designed to do one thing: to take away everything else so that you can pay attention to what's already there: the sky, the light, the horizon. One writer said his spaces are meant to offer refuge from the pace of modern life and create a sense of stillness and serenity. That's a very different way of thinking about building. It's a different way of thinking about formation, removing what distracts so something real can come into focus. Peter says, like living stones, let yourself be built into a spiritual house. What Peter's talking about is spiritual formation. We talk a lot about formation in our culture, but usually we mean personal growth. Become your best self. Do what makes you happy. Cut out whatever doesn't serve you. And some of that isn't wrong, but it keeps you at the center, built on the assumption that if I just try hard enough, I can fix myself. I can build a life that finally works. But spiritual formation is different. It's the one kind of formation that you cannot manufacture. You can't will it. You can't optimize your way into it. Ian Cron puts it bluntly when talking about the self-help industry. If the self could have helped itself, wouldn't it have done so by now? Which means that this isn't about trying harder. It's about becoming dependent for once. Personal growth says, become your best self. Spiritual formation says, let yourself be fed. Personal growth says, do whatever makes you happy. Spiritual formation says, pay attention to what is forming you. Personal growth says, cut out whatever doesn't serve you. Spiritual formation says, stay where you're being shaped, even when it costs you. Because spiritual formation doesn't happen when you finally get control. It happens when you release it. According to Peter, it comes down to two things: hunger, like a newborn baby, a real desire for something more, and willingness to stop only trying to build a life that is impressive, and also to let yourself be built into something that points you beyond yourself, the sky, the light, the horizon.